We are back with a brand new video, guys. What is good, Heat Nation? In today's video, we're going to be talking about whether the Heat are running out of options and running out of time to fill out their roster and make a competitive championship contender during this free agency period. So before we get into it, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Go check out my second channel and go follow my Twitter in the description. Let's get right into it, man. So we do got to talk about this because there was a report a couple days ago that I didn't really talk about because I think it only came out maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. But this is from Brian Windhorst saying that the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell, looks like Donovan Mitchell might remain part of that team for the foreseeable future because he basically reported that Donovan Mitchell has no plans of forcing out of Utah and that he's going to stand pat, which is a nice play on words for all you guys who love to speculate and stuff because Pat Riley, y'all get it. But he's just gonna stay put in Utah. He's not gonna request a trade, and if they trade him, they trade him. But he also did say that all signs point to a rebuild, so we don't really know what's going on in Utah. And honestly, man, I'm kind of getting Bradley Beal vibes from this whole situation because it was the same situation with Beal. Like everyone was like watching Beal hint at leaving Washington, saying I want to win and this and that. He took his money. He stayed loyal. And he's locked up there for 5 more years. I will say, like, just touching on Bradley Beal real quick because I don't really have to talk about him because he's not really linked to the Heat anymore. But I do respect his decision because he took $250 million, which if you were in that position, you'd probably take that money too. Like let's be honest, man, $250 million is generational money, and he has a no trade clause. So even if he requests a trade, he chooses where he wants to go, basically. So that's a W for him. But coming back to the Mitchell situation, it kind of just like it's like a lot of stuff is in like a lot of stuff is like up in the air now because like a lot of people like don't really know what's going on. Like I said, Brian Windhorst said that Donovan Mitchell has no plans of requesting a trade. So it's really on the Jazz. If they want to trade him, then it's up to them. But I just don't see them trying to trade Donovan Mitchell because why would you? He's very young and he's about to be a superstar in the making. And you don't really want to give up that unless he wants out of the team. And although he's hinted at being unsettled and all these adjectives that come out when describing his feelings towards the team after they traded Gobert and after they fired Quinn Snyder, everyone was talking about, he's puzzled, he's unsettled with the situation, he doesn't know where the team is going. But all this being said, he still is not requesting a trade. So you can't really do anything about it. If he requests a trade, you jump on it. If he doesn't, you move on. We got to start talking about next options because I'm really trying to figure out what is the next option for the Heat because I've already said that I don't think there's a chance that we get Kevin Durant with the package that we have to offer with no Adebayo. Potentially, like Bam is not going to be in the trade unless Simmons gets moved, and I just don't see that happening. Like maybe like a third team might swoop in, but like just off face value for what we have to offer the Nets without a third team coming in, Tyler Hero, Nikola Jovic, Omer Yurtseven, Duncan Robinson picks, like this is not enough for Kevin Durant. So honestly, I think Kevin Durant it's a very good chance that he might just stay in Brooklyn because I don't really see any team trying to give up the whole farm for a guy like that because the biggest risk for Kevin Durant is, like forget the Heat at the moment, but like for any team trying to trade for him, you just don't know, whether he's going to want out of your team in a couple years or not because that's the biggest risk with Kevin Durant. Forget his age, forget the fact that he's getting older. It's just the fact that, with Kevin Durant, you just don't know what his mood is going to be. You might give up 5-6 picks for him and then 1 year later he wants out, and then what do you do? So it's like I think a lot of teams are hesitant, even though he's like probably the best player to be ever put on the open market as far as requesting a trade. I just don't see any team really giving up what Brooklyn wants. Apparently Brooklyn asked for Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and 4 first-round picks for KD. Now either they're out of their mind or they're just like trying to get the best offer possible, but like you're not, like the Heat package doesn't even come close to that. So if that's what Brooklyn is after, and I do expect Brooklyn's asking price to be lowered, like as they realize that no team is giving up Cat, Ant, and 4 first-round picks. That's delusion right there. Like why would Kevin Durant even like want to go to the Timberwolves if Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards are not there? I know it's not his decision, but like There's no way Minnesota would do that. So I do expect like their asking price to come down a little bit as they like start to realize, okay, like there's no way we can get what we want. Like they wanted Devin Booker from the Suns. Devin Booker's probably not going to get traded. I think the biggest wild card for this whole Kevin Durant situation is the Raptors, because if the Raptors throw in a trade package that includes Scottie Barnes, then you're talking, because like you can say whatever you want about the Heat package. If Scottie Barnes is in that Raptors package, which I don't know if he is, apparently they want to keep him, but there's also reports that he's in the package from some reporters out there. I don't really know who's credible or not because I don't really follow Raptors reporters, but assuming that if Scottie Barnes gets put in that package for KD, then the Raptors are going to get him, because there's no way that the Nets are going to pass that up, or there's no way that the Nets are going to take our package over the Raptors package. So I think that's that wild card team. Any team that has like a super young player who has superstar potential, like Scottie Barnes, like if he's thrown in that trade, like the Nets, I wouldn't reject that offer. Like if it's Scottie Barnes and maybe and obviously some picks along with it, and then obviously a contract like OG or Gary Trent, like someone like that to make the money match and stuff. Like I actually wouldn't mind that deal at all. Compared to what the Heat are giving up if I'm Brooklyn. Like, I don't think Brooklyn wants Hero as the centerpiece. Like, yeah, he's a good player. He's going to be a good player in the future, but Scottie Barnes is a generational talent. So I think the whole KD situation, you just forget about that for now, because I think their asking price at the moment is very high. Even if it gets lower, I just don't see them accepting the Heat's package. The Donovan Mitchell situation I just talked about, how he doesn't really see the need to force a move out of Utah at the moment. He wants to see how things play out, so you don't really have time to waste. And a lot of these free agency options are kind of becoming limited and more limited by the day. There was a report from Ian Begley, who is a New York Knicks reporter. He's actually probably one of the best New York Knicks reporters out there. Like, I actually know his name because I think he works for like a really good New York Knicks company, like 5 Reasons that we have here. It's one of the I forgot what the company's name is in New York, but he's a very trustworthy and reliable reporter. Apparently the Heat have been in contact for Cam Reddish, and if this is the case, like, I don't know if obviously Cam Reddish is not KD or Donovan Mitchell, but I actually don't mind this, because the New York Knicks are it doesn't really seem like they have like a rotation spot like secured for Cam Reddish. There's been a lot of speculation about him not getting playing time. Like, even when they traded for him last season, like, Thibodeau didn't really play him too much. I don't think the asking price for him is going to be too high, because he's not really playing any rotational minutes. Now, I don't know what we would give up, but I don't think it'd be anything crazy. And taking a flyer on a guy I'm a huge Cam Reddish fan. I thought he was going to be like Paul George 2.0 coming out of Duke. And taking a flyer on a guy like this, I think is a really good move. If the Heat pull that off, like, I don't think they're gonna have to give up anything too much. I really like it as a pure talent acquisition. Like, does it fit a need that the Heat like desperately need? Probably not, because I don't know if Cam Reddish is power forward material. I think he can play the 3 and potentially play the 2, but playing the 4, I just don't see it, because I think he is like 6'8". So, I mean, his height kind of fits the bill, but I don't think he's strong enough. I don't think his game is more of like a perimeter oriented game anyway. Like, even when you look at Paul George, like, Paul George has never played the 4. I mean, he might have a couple times, but like, the 4 position has never been his true position. So, even if we got Cam Reddish, it wouldn't really feel like an apparent need for us. But for a pure talent acquisition, if you want to take a risk, it's not even a risk, because you're just trading for a guy who's not really gotten many minutes so far in his career. And if anyone can turn him into a star, it's Miami, with the amount of potential and upside that this kid has. You're not really gonna have to give up too much for him, so I'm all for it. Now, we do have to talk about some other power forward options, because there hasn't really been any rumors to the Heat linked with top tier power forwards. I think the best power forward on the open market, not the open market, but as far on the trade block, is John Collins, because apparently Atlanta are still trying to find a trade for him. And I think before Cam Reddish, I think the Heat should try to either go for him or go for Miles Turner, because I think those two would really, really help the Heat. Because when you think about it, like I said, like in a couple videos ago, the Heat were only 1-3 away from going to the finals, basically. You lost PJ Tucker, but if you got John Collins or Miles Turner, I think those are upgrades. And you basically brought the rest of your roster back and added Nikola Jovic, who's probably not going to play too much in his rookie season, maybe off the bench a little bit. I don't expect him to start, but he's still an addition. So let's say you got John Collins, right? You would have to give up some stuff for it, for sure. I don't get the notion that people just want to give up Duncan and a pick for John Collins. This is not a scrub, bro. John Collins is a hooper. He's an all-star caliber player. Obviously, you might have to. I don't think you're gonna have to throw in as much as you will for Donovan Mitchell and Cam Durant, obviously, but you're still gonna have to give up some stuff. So, as far as if you want to give up the least amount of assets as possible, you probably would have to side towards the Miles Turner situation, because Miles Turner is like firmly on the block. Like I could see a situation where Atlanta keeps John Collins, but I like genuinely cannot see how Indiana keeps Miles Turner. I just think that he's 100% gone, especially because they've been linked to signing DeAndre Ayton in free agency. They have the cap space to offer him a max. And Miles Turner has been on the block ever since Malcolm Brogdon has gotten traded. He's always been in trade rumors. I think he's 100% gone. So if you want to go basically off of who has, lesser value and who you can trade for easier, it would probably be Miles Turner. And I actually don't mind Miles Turner's fit next to Bam. He obviously wouldn't be guarding the 4s and the 3s and the 2s that PJ Tucker did, but you could probably have Bam play his natural 4 and have Turner be the stretch 5 out there. It would be a different dynamic, obviously, because Bam has not played the 4 in his Heat career so far. We've seen 2-man lineups with him and Myers Leonard before, but even before, the Myers Leonard and Bam lineups actually worked pretty well in the regular season. We were doing pretty solid until obviously the whole situation happened, and then Jay Crowder came in. We kind of took it to another level. But even Miles Turner is like a huge upgrade over Myers Leonard, because he's defensively, he's like 100 times better. He can still stretch the floor. And he's just like that rim protecting presence. So the only problem with Miles Turner is that he's not the best rebounder, and rebounding was an issue last season. But I think when you have two guys out there that are, pretty big bodies like Bam and Miles Turner in the front court, I think he'll be pretty solid. So I think even before they try to go and get a guy like Cam Reddish, I think Miles Turner should be a guy. Him or John Collins, I would love on the Miami Heat. Those would be like my two most realistic options for the Heat right now, because I would love Dono, I would love Kevin. I just don't see how we're gonna get them unless either Brooklyn drastically lowers its value for the Kevin Durant situation, or Utah for the Donovan Mitchell situation has plans to trade Donovan Mitchell imminently. And if that's not the case for either of those things, or Donovan Mitchell suddenly just changes his mind and says he wants out, those are the only things that the Heat can hope for if they want Donovan Mitchell or Kevin Durant, is what I just said before. But assuming that that's probably not going to happen, you have to move on to your other options and make sure that your options don't get stolen. You don't want to just run it back with the same team minus PJ. So assuming you want to explore your other options, John Collins is a really good option. Miles Turner is a really good option. And then Cam Reddish, who's been apparently reported to the Heat have been reported to contact the Knicks about him. I wouldn't mind either. It doesn't really fit a need, but as far as a pure talent acquisition, I like it. As far as guys who can be the bucket getting shooting guard, if Donovan Mitchell is not gonna be a Miami Heat player, you kind of have to bank on Hero. And I love Hero. I really hope that he gets better, but he's gonna have a lot to prove. I know he just won the 6th Man of the Year award, but a lot of people have kind of just looked at his playoff performances from the past couple seasons and have kind of just dismissed his regular season games. And he's going to have to prove to people that he can do it in the playoffs as well as the regular season. And when a defense is adjusting to him and throwing multiple bodies at him, blitzing him, he has to be able to show that he can handle the physicality. I do want to see him work on his ball handling, and his defense. I think those are the main two things that I want to see Hero work on, is his handle, especially in when he gets trapped and blitzed. I think he panics sometimes, and I think when people play physical with him, he kind of loses the ball often. I think he just has to work on that part of his game, and the defense, obviously, that's been a weakness since day one. I think he still has to brush up on that a little bit. He's gotten better on that end since when he came into the league, but I think you're just gonna have to bank on Hero to be that the savior on that end. If Jimmy Butler is not getting it going, or if he's just having an off night, it's gonna have to be Tyler Hero who picks up the slack, him or Bam. I want Kyle Lowry to come back. I want him to be in shape. I don't know if you can rely on him to take over games like he did in Toronto, but I still have faith in Kyle, man. I don't think Kyle is washed, as a lot of people like to say. I still think he was a big reason why we got the 1 seed, and I think a lot of people forget that at times. But even the young guys like Gabe Vincent, I really do think that Gabe Vincent can take another step. I genuinely see the Gabe Vincent, Fred VanVleet arc comparison. Now, obviously, I don't know if he's going to be exactly like Fred VanVleet, where he's an all-star, but mentored by Kyle Lowry, they have similar skill sets. They had similar skill sets, when Fred was breaking out, kind of. Gabe is like a defensive guard who can also shoot the ball. Same with Fred, but Fred got a lot better as far as like inside the arc and stuff. I'm really hoping that Gabe Vincent takes that jump. A lot of these guys are gonna have to take jumps and become better players if the Heat are gonna do the run it back thing, where they just come back with the same team and just upgrade the 4 position. Like, you're gonna have to see a lot of these guys, especially in the backcourt and on the perimeter. I don't even mention Victor Oladipo, because I think he's gonna have to have a big season as well. He might be put into the starting lineup, and I don't think it should be a surprise if he does, because like I said, I don't think he would have signed that contract if he wasn't going to get some playing time in that starting lineup. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered by the front office and by the coaching staff. But I'm hoping that a lot of these guys, put in the work in the offseason. Even the young guys, like, I really like Jamari Bouyer's upside. I don't know if he's going to play, but I hope that he gets one of the two-way spots. You obviously saw Orlando Robinson get an Exhibit 10, which is a big W, man. He's a hooper. He's really, really good. Even like a Omer Yurtseven, I want him to, take that next step in becoming that backup big and take over that Dwayne. I think Dwayne Dedmon is kind of getting towards the end of his career where he can be a 3rd string center. I want Yurtseven to be that 2nd string guy. So a lot of questions for the Heat to answer. If they strike out on Dono or KD, some options that I do want to see them, go towards are John Collins and Miles Turner. But we'll see what happens, man. Still a long time before the season starts. But yeah, I'll see y'all later as always. Peace.